Welcome to Between the Lines. It's November 7th. The election's over. We're all tired. It's been great. Everybody has different political opinions. We have a lot of different kinds of people who watch this show, but there's no question that there's been some people come together, going to try to fix some things, fix some immigration problems, and maybe drill for some oil, and maybe take a little bit stronger position in this country, in this world. So we're excited about that. We're hopeful that everybody benefits from that. Today, though, we're moving on to the next part. If you haven't heard, and you must be under a rock or something if you haven't heard, but there is a new, let's call it a theme park and a restaurant, and we'll clarify that in a minute, but called Aspire in Clinton, South Clinton, Tennessee, Aspire. Outstanding place. I'm not sure Gatlinburg has anything to rival it. A lot of theme up there, but this is a diverse place, and we brought, from the Aspire Foundation, we have brought Mike Wallace on today, and I welcome him to talk about everything that's going on. How long ago did it open?
We opened on October 6th.
So we've been open about a month, and we had a little bit of a soft opening, then it powered in, and I drive by there and take my son to the University of Tennessee, and on back some days, and I'm telling you, when he comes to visit, I'm telling you there are 300 or 400 cars in that parking lot. Outstanding restaurant. You know, we all go around and say, we're going to eat Outback, we're going to eat a Red Lobster. Where are we going to eat? Because we always have to eat the same. There's a new restaurant, excellent restaurant, you know. I always say Dean's is the best restaurant in Interstate. The Pearl is equal. It's fantastic. It's a brand new restaurant. Everybody's raving about it. It's in the facility. Okay. Are you showing pictures of the facility, Brad? Okay. So y'all can see how big this facility is. Mike, just jump in here if you want to talk about anything. Like, what is it? What do we have here? We're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me and an opportunity.
Sorry, we got to Brad jumped in. We got to go.
No worries. Yeah. These are early concept pictures from 2000 and probably 19.
Okay.
That after we hired a landscape architect. Their firm is called Port out of Chicago and Philadelphia, and we can talk about that in just a little bit. But this is just basically a panoramic view of Aspire and the concept. At the bottom there, this was a tree grove concept down to the right, a little bark park to your left, and then we have our wildflower meadow there in the center with our building called the Onward and Upward, located there a little bit to the left toward the highway. And again, this is not actually what has transformed. There we go, magic button. So now this is an updated version of what you will see today when you come into Aspire. Down at the bottom left-hand corner,
yes.
We have a facility called the Exchange. And it's surrounded by a tree grove of 18 different species of trees, okay. Mostly native to. And
people can walk in there?
Absolutely,
okay.
Yes. And so think of farmers market activities there, like car shows and birthday parties and small event type.
Scheduled events throughout the year. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
That you can come there, and then if it's not rented or in use, then you can just come down there and then pull up a chair. There was 20 or 30 people there yesterday that had a little get together, and it was nice to see people out there congregating. Okay. But with the trees that are planted there, and there's several thousand plants just in this. In that
little square area,
yes,
down there,
just
called the Exchange. Why is it called the Exchange?
Well, so to backtrack a little bit to really get into what Aspire is about and what it wants to accomplish is, and to quote our president, Joe Hollingsworth of the Aspire Foundation, he wants everyone to feel better about themselves when they leave Aspire than once they first came in.
Okay.
Right. And he tells a much better story than I do.
Joe can tell stories.
He's good at telling stories, and he's been a great mentor to me and to all of our teammates there at the Aspire Foundation. But backtracking to your question about why is it called the Exchange, so everything at Aspire has aspirational names. So even 22 miles of trails, right? So
okay.
To break the thesaurus out.
Trails are for walking,
yes.
Biking?
Hiking and biking trails.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different trails. Okay.
Yes. So each, and I'm going to call them venues, or each area that you come to at Aspire has an aspirational name. So the Exchange, the ideology behind that is, like, again, it's a farmer's market that represents, the idea is exchange of information, goods, services along those lines. We have our Bark Park, which is not really an aspirational name, but that was a tough one to come up with. And then we have.
And what is a Bark Park?
It's just a dog park.
You walk your dog?
Walk your dog. They can be off leash in the Bark Park. We got some cool shade structures there, and we got some really unique grass there that stays green year round. And there's 3 different runs there. We have a small dog, a large dog, and an overflow area. So you can bring your canine companions there and have a good time. And dogs are still allowed at Aspire. You just have to have them on a leash throughout the facility. And then we just ask everybody to carry the little doggy bags and help clean up those accidents that happen along the way. So.
Yeah, a lot of places I can remember 10 years ago in the cities in the north, everybody had the machines where you pull the bag out, right,
yes.
and do that thing. So you can bring that or do that. So how much? Let's talk about it. Like, if you, I'm just pulling off the highway. Let's go see what this park is, and we pull in, we park, okay, and you just go in. What's the main building where the restaurant's at?
That's called the Onward and Upward.
Onward and Upward. Okay.
Right, and that's, again,
Big
going back
building.
to that aspirational theme of onward and upward,
Okay.
right? Our facility down on the Clinch River is called the Launch. Think of that like you are launching your career or launching your aspiration.
All right.
And then but getting back to the overall theme of Aspire, when we first started, it was only 70 acres.
Right.
Right, so Joe, who's our president.
First started planning, you mean,
Correct.
back in 1817. Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, that's when I was on the show last time. This was
I remember
all
you were on our show about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, just a concept, and we were, when our board, like what kind of facilities do we want? What's our mentality? What's our theme? Because large parks, generally, this size especially, are not created anymore. Right, the parks of this size have been around for hundreds of years, and they just revamp every 10 or 15 years or so, depending on what the going trend is.
When I lived in Pittsburgh, off subject, there was a bar downtown. I won't name the name of the bar, but it was a restaurant and a bar and everything, and they had 3 floors, right? But basically, it was a nightclub. Basically, is what it was. Etc. And every week, on Monday, they would come in and tear the whole thing down and rebuild it to a different thing. That's kind of hard to rebuild an entire internal structure every week, but it was very popular.
Yeah.
Very popular. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
You're
we
right,
originally,
though. It has to cycle, doesn't it?
it does. Yeah, and that's generally what parks do in general. Like I said, every 7 to 15 years they revamp and they spend money. But typically, parks this size are not created nowadays, right? You have little pocket parks, little private parks, maybe a few acres and some swing sets and splash pads.
But I think Joe had a broader vision, more of a community vision. Not we're going to make not a revenue projection, and here's where we are, and it's a nonprofit. We're going to do this. But I think he wasn't as targeted as it was just trying to. My read is he's trying to embrace everybody.
That's right.
Is that fair?
Yeah. So, and I'm going to borrow this from a park in Tulsa called the Gathering Place, right? And they have a perfect name, and that's along the same ideology that we want to have at Aspire, right? So, regardless of your mobility status or whether you're driving off the interstate or you're living locally, like when you come into there, we want everybody to have something to do. Right.
Okay.
So there's trails, there's things for our feline, for our canine friends. There's access to the water. We have a restaurant. We have playground areas, and so we have different modalities for recreational use there. But backtracking just a little bit, we had the 70 acres originally, and the board issued a challenge to me. They're like, well, and the people on our board, they weren't park people at the time, and great people and visionaries on their own. And when I talked to Joe, he's like, well, let's build a park, and I'm like, okay, let's build a park. And I said, what do you want? Well, we don't know. Just go figure it out, right? And that's been kind of the theme of the last 7 years is let's go figure it out. So the first year I was with the Aspire Foundation in 2016, back when I came on your show, I was in the midst of doing research. So I would go to a few parks, bless you, each week. Yeah, each week, and meet the directors, meet the maintenance people, meet everybody that ran the parks, and try to get an idea of like what do you not do, right? Like, what are the no-nos in parks, and then what's the trend that everybody wants to see? And so I went to over 50 parks the first year, which was fun, seeing all the different places. I mean, I went to New York, went to Dallas, went all the way out to Tulsa, Chicago, Nashville, all the big parks, small parks, private parks. If it had a park in the name, I went there, it seems like. And so we gathered all this intel and all this research over that first year, and then we had a national design competition for landscape architects. Right, so we started with 10, we whittled that down to 5, and eventually got down to 3, and then eventually down to 1. And so we selected our landscape architect just to help with the schematic design of Aspire. Right, and thus we learned a few things that, if you want to build a economic development catalyst, right, as a park, and something that's going to help promote tourism and help the community keep the people, right, because a lot of people, kids here, they graduate and they move off. So it has several different. No problem. Has several different arms to it, right? So we want to promote tourism, want to retain people in Clinton and Anderson County, and then also have invite that tourism angle, right, to bring those tax dollars in to help with the city as well. So we figured out
tax dollars, a restaurant alone.
Yes, and so one thing we figured out pretty quickly is that 70-acre footprint that we had, and the budget we had at the time really couldn't accomplish that.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And so thus, and through some acquisitions and some partnership with TVA, who has been great to us, we had their board come out just a few months ago, and they sat down with us, and we enjoyed all the fruits of the labor that have been accomplished with our partnership with them. It went from 70 acres to 370 acres.
Wow.
So a little bit of a jump.
That's a big jump.
Right? And then when when we decided to build a restaurant and build all these different unique locations within the park, it ramps up your budget and it ramps up your operations. Right.
And your revenue.
And yes, in revenue. And so, we'd like to accomplish, of course, the restaurant will generate some soft revenue for us, but that's all funneled right back into the foundation.
Let's say this. It's a nonprofit.
It is.
So all of this revenue and all of this money, whatever you take in above and beyond cost, all goes back into the foundation.
Correct.
And just for people to know, they're not trying to make money.
No, that's not our goal. No. Of course, we want to support the salaries and the staff, and trees die, and sidewalks break, and unfortunately, people run into signs. Right. We've had that happen this week, but just part of the gig there. The other thing that I'd like to talk about briefly is, so just to reiterate what you said, it's Aspire Foundation is nonprofit 501c3, and so there is no outside donations, there's no tax dollars, there's no grants involved with this project. It's all privately funded from the Aspire Foundation, which came from our founder.
Sure.
And so we can't even accept donations. I mean, if you want to give me $100, can't even take it, right? And so that's just our model. And we learned that too early on, that private foundations, now you still have to go through all the permitting.
Sure.
Right. Local, state, and federal permits, which we had to go.
Easy.
We had to do 28 of those.
Yeah.
And then COVID threw a little wrench in there, with just the permitting, and so that was a little bit challenging. But we got through all those things, and got all of our permits.
Sure.
But in whole, yes, Aspire is a nonprofit, privately funded private park that's open to the public.
Yeah, and the goal was to be break even, be self-sufficient, right?
That we would love that.
I mean, that would
be a great accomplishment.
Less demand on the foundation, and you can have more money to promote the park. I mean,
we have, and in addition to the capital investment that the Aspire Foundation received from our founder, Joe Hollingsworth, there's also been a separate endowment set aside to fund Aspire for 100 years. Okay. Right. So initially, back in 2009. Joe and his board of directors for his foundation had a park concept where they were going to build another private park. It was more like a sports themed park, with the baseball fields and softball fields and basketball courts and things like that. And so that didn't come to fruition. But the idea then was to build that and donate it to the city.
It was a great idea. But I'm just going to record. I was never. Government regulations and government, but That could have really helped South Clinton on the river over there. I mean, we won't go into that, but that was an excellent idea.
Yes, yeah. And so that didn't happen. But now, as the years have passed, right, 15 years later, the ideology of what makes park and public spaces has radically transformed.
That's correct.
Right. And the one thing COVID did do is it did force people to get outside, to get on their bike and get on trails. And so, all those activities, I think, has went up 400 to 500% over the last few years.
We're seeing a video now of a trail that's in the park, right?
Yeah, that's one of our trails. We have over 22 miles of hiking and biking trails. This is just one of the, this is an example of some riders we had out there the other day. And so within our agreement with TVA, we were able to expand our trail system, because if we were just going to do it on Aspire property, that'd just be a couple miles of trail, right? And so, but since we had that cooperative agreement with TVA, we successfully built 22 miles of trail, and that also includes a 1 mile greenway that traverses along the Clinch River. That's harsh, it's asphalt, right? So you can ride your bike or walk down through there. So it's a very cool video.
How do we prevent? Oh, that's nice. What is that?
Yeah, this is our grit and what we call our Grit and Bank Bike Park, and it was designed and built by Red Bull in partner with Velo Solutions. And so this is once you pass our adventure style playgrounds. That bike. This is footage from the trails, but the bike park was again built and designed by Red Bull. So we hope to have some Red Bull events and championships out there. We're working on that for 2025 or 2026 right now. But
it goes fast. Yesterday was 2016, right?
It does go fast. But we've enjoyed tremendous success. We've seen license plates from Utah. I saw one from Texas yesterday, Ohio. It seems to be that the majority, I would conservatively say 40% of our attendance so far has been from outside of Anderson County.
I would think it'll get higher, but
that's very
interesting because the biggest day for movies in the country is Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's because everybody comes home. Everybody's sitting around looking at each other, and they all say, "What are we going to? Let's go to a movie." Yeah. So families, that's where families can go and get along or shit, whatever you want to say. Now you have an opportunity there. When people are coming into town from all over to come see their family and everything, this is something their family can say, "You need to go to Aspire Park."
It is.
And that's thousands of people.
Yeah, the I-75 corridor, basically runs from Toronto to Florida.
Sure.
Right, so we can get, the Great Smoky Mountains sees 11 million people per year. If we get 1/10 of 1% of that, that's going to be very successful. And we do have around 470 parking places at Aspire, and so it's quite a bit. And the way it's designed, we didn't want it to seem like a Walmart parking lot. Right, when it's not in use and be big wide open spaces. But
and you did a good job of that. It's a long lane. It goes all the way downstream as well.
Yeah, Aspire is very linear, and I will give massive kudos, and they do not get enough credit here, but obviously our landscape architects designed the schematic design of Aspire, but our construction team, the one that had to battle it out with the plans and construction, and they've done that for 7 years, and spending 17, 18-hour days out there getting everything developed, and we've had to redo some things. There's some opportunities we had to solve early on, and they've really put their heart and soul into getting that built. And they just don't get enough credit.
And I think people don't appreciate it. It's easier to design a marketing concept and a business concept for a 50 to 80 acre park where you've got targeted issues and targeted clientele. What you're trying to do is expansive, and it includes families, and it's just you've got a whole. It's a much bigger vision. If I mean, whatever happened, and the same thing you're saying, Opryland went away. Opryland Park was a great park. I lived in Nashville in the late 70s, and I can tell you it was a great park, well visited, but at some point it became non-functional, right? They had to turn it into a mall, which is very functional. But so you're right. I was just thinking when you were talking, I don't know a lot of large parks anymore. Dollywood's fairly successful.
Well, I'll say that everything you see at Aspire, is an amalgamation of all those over 50 parks that I visited, from landscape architects, our internal team, other park directors throughout the nation. So we've just kind of gathered all this intel and just pushed all the vegetables
that's what you should do in any business,
Yeah, and so the one comment I keep hearing, two or three different comments, but one of those is, how well built the place is, right? So our construction team and foundation have designed Aspire. Every thought, every doorknob, every tree, everything that you see in there is designed to last for at least 100 years. Right, so the quality of the park and the facilities there are top shelf, and we want everything to be first class. All of our teammates, when they're hired, they go through a personality assessment to begin before they even get the interview, and then after they're hired and committed, they go through a 1-week training, internal culture training that we had developed from someone from Disney. Michelle at Stone Ledge came. She had 30 years of experience at Disney with culture training. She came in and developed our own specialized training, 1-week training for each teammate that we have.
Okay.
Then they begin their job training. Right, so they get a whole week of indoctrinating about what Aspire is.
You need to be a part of the Disney vision or the Aspire vision before you become an employee.
That's right.
Or a teammate.
And it's also embodying that Southern hospitality. Right, when you come in and then, really doing all those things your mama taught you to do.
What makes Cracker Barrel Cracker Barrel? Right, I understand. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back with more about Aspire and the new park in Clinton.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Looking for a college with online programs that work for you? Roane State offers flexible courses so you can go to class when it's convenient. Roane State will be there every step of the way to ensure you succeed with resources like tutoring, advising, and counseling. Find out if you can complete your degree 100% online and on your time. Get started today. Visit roanstate.edu/online to explore your options.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
In our community, everyone deserves access to quality health care. At the Free Medical Clinic, we offer no-charge medical services to those without insurance. There is never a bill at the Free Medical Clinic. From primary care, preventative care, diagnostics, and specialty care, our dedicated team is here to help. The Free Medical Clinic, taking your fear away from becoming sick or hurt. Go to fmcor.org to become a patient. Remember, there is never a charge for your care. fmcor.org.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
One of the best themes of the entire park, at Aspire Park, is their new restaurant, The Pearl. We're going to talk a little bit about the menu, we're going to talk about the hours, and it's been great. Everybody, I know 10 to 12 people have been out there to eat, and every single one of them said the food was outstanding. And let's talk a little bit about the Pearl.
Sure, absolutely. So early on in our research, we had talked about, obviously you want to have food options when you have a big public space. And so you could do a cafe, you could do, little hot dog carts or ice cream carts and things like that. But our foundation and our leadership really wanted to do something to help, again, not only promote the economic development of, Clinton and specifically South Clinton, but I guess we wanted a challenge, so we decided we want to open up a restaurant. And so
that's a challenge.
Well, that's a challenge. As you know, there's plenty of them that opened up in Knoxville quite a bit, and plenty of them that shut down.
About 2 year lifespan,
very quickly. Yeah, about I think 80% on failure rate here in our area. But that was one of the things. I would ask people when I would be out in Clinton. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you like to see within, just here locally? And majority of people say, I want a nice place to sit down with my family in the evenings, right? Sure. And have a good meal without, having to go to Knoxville or Maryville. And there's nothing against those places. They do a great job. But all that money's going outside of our.
I live in Oak Ridge. We got about 5 or 6 choices. I mean, it's just, I eat out of probably 5 nights a week, lunch every day, because I'm working constantly. But I would say that, you got a 5 or so. Having a nice restaurant in South Clinton is an advantage. I mean, it's just really good.
There's a few places there in Clinton that do well, and our challenge with doing restaurants in park is they're an even higher failure rate than if they are outside of a park.
I figured you'd go with a Starbucks type concept. That's what I figured. Have a little food, snacks, and stuff.
Well,
while people run and eat, but you create a completely different clientele.
Absolutely.
People that don't ride bikes, people that don't walk, people that don't do all that, but they can come there for dinner and come out.
They can, and did a lot of research there. I went some of the major places, Chattanooga, obviously, Bentonville. It's a fantastic place if you've never been there. Arkansas, whether you ride a bike or not, it's the mountain biking mecca of the United States in essence. But they do a very good job of people, like to say, if you're outside riding your bike or paddling, doing recreational activities, and developing areas to where, if they've been outside and they're sweaty, they have a place to eat. And it's a good place to eat. So
does Windrock do that?
Windrock, they have some small options there. I'll tell you what, Aaron Gwynn and what he and Dakota Norton are doing out there at Windrock is unbelievable and going to be transformational. They do such a great job.
It's saved the hotel industry.
Absolutely.
In Oak Ridge, Illinois Avenue, and other places, you go in there and you'll see four-wheeler.
I think you're going to see some big things coming from them. Yeah. And we've talked to them about how we can indirectly partner to promote both the aspects of the mountain biking there.
Sure. That's what you need to do.
Aaron came out a couple of weeks ago and filmed some things on our bike park and did us a tremendous favor. And just you're going to see some great things coming out of there. But
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Back to the restaurant. So we decided to take on that challenge because we felt it would be a benefit for the community, and it also be we want to, even though it's in a park, we want it to be a destination place restaurant.
Yes.
Right. But you've got to satisfy a lot of different angles there, right? You've got people in the park doing recreational things. The restaurant has a little bit of a challenge. It's about 500 feet away from the parking. Right, so if anyone has mobility issues or needs ADA help to get from the parking lot to the restaurant, please just call ahead and we'll send a golf cart.
It's not that far. I mean,
it's not, but we want to be. We want everybody to have the same opportunity to get there.
That's right. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but if you have I had knee surgery, I had use a cane or I wouldn't. I'm trying to think how far it is. If you park at the north end of the parking lot, you just walk up the ramp, right?
Yeah, it's about 500 feet. But
football field, that's pretty far.
Yeah,
it's all right. I got
it's a good throw.
Outside and inside seating?
Yes, both. And so as you come up to the Pearl, to our right we have what we call the Pearl Garden, and it seats about 150 plus, maybe even more than that on the outside, right? A little patio style out there, and got the lights and the trees and the cool vibe there. And as you come inside the onward and upper facility, we have a main desk area there that you can see ask questions or figure out where your next step is. And then when you go to your right, that's where the Pearl is. And so the reason it was called the Pearl was after the pearling industry there from 1830
to
1920,
I've seen that
right?
marker down on Market Street.
And so and a lot of people, especially outside the area, don't know that Clinton was one of the top places in the world for freshwater pearls. And so people would come from all over the world.
Where did they get the pearls?
Right out of the Clinch River.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Before the dam was installed.
Inside an oyster.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the most, from what I understand, it was the most diverse mussel stream in the United States and maybe even the world before North.
Why? What's is there any ecological reason for that?
That I don't know.
I don't either.
But that's what I've heard from. I went to visited with the McClung Museum. They have a great pearl exhibit over there.
Pearls aren't cheap.
They're not cheap. Yeah. And so, but that's and the pearl's not an oyster bar or a seafood place. That's just what we call it. But it's just to represent that history of Clinton, and throughout the trails we have 55 different stories of people, places, and things, or people doing aspirational.
How do you access those stories?
When you go, they got two different areas. So when you're out on the trails, when you come up to an intersection of each trail where they have the wayfinding sign.
On the trails.
On the trails, and there's stories there of aspirational people, places, and things.
Sure.
And then also outside in the Pearl Garden.
And are those stories about Tennesseans?
It's all about people in Anderson County and
Clinton.
Yeah, aspirational stories and of people that's done accomplishments and great things. And then outside in our Pearl Garden, we have what we call the Magnificent Seven, and they're a little bit larger stories of 500 words or so of each of these things that's been accomplished. So like magnet mills, right? And then it also talks about the development of the spire, and there's several different stories out there that I encourage people to drop by and read about the history of Clinton there as well. So.
Fantastic. Okay, tell me about when is it open, the restaurant?
So Aspire is open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. roughly, depending on events.
So lunch and dinner.
Lunch and dinner. That's correct.
Okay. Reservations?
So reservations, I would encourage you to call at least a day ahead if you're planning on visiting.
Because it's going to be busy the first couple months.
It's been pretty busy, and we definitely got some opportunities to solve with service. So
every restaurant is slow in the beginning. That's just part of it.
Yeah, and I've heard we get great comments about the food.
Oh, excellent.
And of course Aspire is no different than anyone else. We face the same staffing challenges.
Sure.
To get people to work, and then. Of course, they got to go through all the culture training, and so just be patient with us there on the restaurant side, on service. We're doing everything we can to ramp up those service times, but the food there, the best way I can describe it, because I know we don't have a menu to show here, is a Connors level food quality at an Aubrey's price point. Right, so we have steaks, we have fish there, we have hamburgers, kids menu, and so we've got a good range of affordable selections there for everybody.
Well, that's good. The kids menu and everything. So you have the seating. That's cool. What if I'm a smoker? Is there a place for me to go outside and smoke?
There's a designated areas behind the building. There's 3 designated areas at Aspire that you can have a smoking area there.
Yeah, it's just a reality of the culture, right? It's still less than it used to be, but it's still a reality of the culture, et cetera, et cetera. So the menu items, you got a good menu. It's going lunch and dinner different?
So the lunch menu and the dinner menu are a little bit different. So when you come in there might be, depending on what time you come, the menu will change slightly.
Is there any other place to grab a snack in the entire facility besides the Pearl?
No.
All food is centered on the Pearl.
That's correct.
To-go orders are fine, all that kind of stuff. You can get it done. All right. So it's right in the main. Right in the main upward facility up there. It is.
The large facility you see from the road.
Yeah.
And in coordination with the Pearl upstairs, we have event space that we can seat approximately around 300 people. So there's areas upstairs you can do private events. You can rent those for, whether it's for a wedding or a corporate event or retreat. We have those options there as well in coordination with the restaurant.
Brad, do you have a picture of the main facility again where the building itself? I think we had one up there. Is that it?
That's it, yes, sir. So the glass box you see there, we call that the Jewel, and that overlooks the front of the park. It's
right. Got that.
Very cool venue up there.
And the Pearl would be where?
Down to your right.
Okay.
Down to your right, you can see the Pearl Garden out there to your right, where the seats are, where people are walking around around the side there.
I got you.
And then in the background, you'll see our adventure style playgrounds is what we call it. And so those it is AstroTurf back there, and so the playgrounds are set up by age group. Right, so the first area you see there in the orange, those are for the smaller kids, like 2 to 5 age range, and then where you see the TPs, that's like 6 to 11 age range, and then as you traverse a little bit deeper out up and to the left, we've got some kiddie zip lines there. And
zip lines, really?
Well, we call it, I don't really call them a zip line. They're just the cable structure where the kids can
slide a little bit.
Yeah, just grab on. And
so there are actual playgrounds. So if I want to take my 4 and 6-year-old to Cedar Hill Playground, you actually could go to Aspire and you have playgrounds for kids to play in.
That's right, by age group. Right, so if you,
don't
want
if I want to eat,
playing with a 12-year-old, you put them in their own progressive area.
That's right. And you can stay with them in those areas, right?
You can, absolutely.
So if I eat dinner and I have little kids and I want to take them over, we can go to the playground after we eat or before we eat.
You can, or you can sit out in the Pearl Garden and just say, hey, stay on the red or stay on the yellow, and and you can watch them.
You see them from the garden.
You can see them from the garden.
That's pretty cool.
And there's some seating around there.
And that little rail and that walkway, did that take you out to where?
That's the part that connects over to the Clinch River Greenway. That takes you out to the bike park and out past the adventure playgrounds.
Fantastic.
And the Greenway, it starts down at our launch facility, which we can talk a little bit about that. But our Clinch River Greenway is approximately a mile long. And it's all asphalt, and it's designed, to get people out walking and riding bikes by the river. It's got some cool sinuosity out through there. It goes all the way out to the end of Lost Ridge Mountain Range.
And if I'm on the river bank and I'm looking out, what's across the river?
Just there's home sites over there across the river.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trying to figure out which section it is and everything.
Yeah. So you have Alton Island, which is down to the right of this picture.
Okay.
Right, and then that's right where our launch facility is. Okay. And then if anyone knows where Clinton Island is out there, so the Greenway gets pretty close to where parallels to where Clinton Island is. And there's also been in talks with TVA and the city about possibility of extending the Clinch River Greenway around to the Card Farm Dog Park. Now that has to go through quite a bit of permitting and some red tape there, but that could be another opportunity to extend that greenway even further from what it is now.
Wow. That's amazing. So it's now 200 and something acres?
370.
370. That's amazing.
Started at 70.
There it is. There's a good picture. Now, what are we looking at?
Yeah, that's the front of the Onward and Upward facility. Got some cool rocking chairs.
So if I walk up to that facility, how do I get to the Pearl?
You just go through the front door right there.
Turn right.
To the right and turn to the right.
I see it over. That's the lights hanging over the outside part.
That's the outdoor
patio. Beautiful.
One thing that we're going to get more into is when you come into the Onward and Upward and go to the left, we have a facility in there that's called Adventure to Aspiration Mountain.
At Mountain.
Adventure to Aspiration Mountain. So
tell us about that.
So what it is, and I'm sure you and many of the people listening are familiar with junior achievement.
Yes.
Right, and that's grades basically. Oh well, thank you. Grades 5 through 12, right, and that's about developing entrepreneurial skills, right, and business mindsets in.
And let's give credit to Joe. We have the Junior Achievement Building.
We do, and Joe helped facilitate that. And Callie Archer and Amy Wilson do a tremendous job there. I'm going to butcher their stats, so they'll probably yell at me. But I believe they get around 12,000 kids per year. Yeah. And I think to date, since the inception,
it's a neat development too. Everywhere you go inside, there's like a little store.
There's a town.
Yeah,
there's a biz town. There's an actual town inside there, and so they the class is
it's been nice.
The class is the town. Right, and so the kids get to come in and run their own businesses. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they've seen over 125,000 kids since the inception. They do a tremendous job there. And so their success has kind of segued into where they start in 5th grade. We want to start in 4th grade at Aspire. And the Adventure to Aspiration Mountain is all about bringing in field trips or kids can just come in on their own.
Why is it called a mountain?
Well, it's just that's the theme of what's the inside of it is. And so we want to plant that seed of aspiration in kids to where that they can come in and pick an aspiration. They go through this 6-station process.
Different for each aspiration.
So your individual aspiration might be different. It could be, I want to get out of my wheelchair. I want to make an A in my math paper. I want to make the football team. It could be any kind of aspirations these kids have, but just to plant that seed of aspiration. And at the end of that process, they go into an aspiration booth. And they can record their aspiration.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Right, yeah, and they can share that through social media, and they can make it private or make it public, and we can play it in the facility. So if you come into the Onward and Upward and go to your left, you'll see that over there. That's a little bit of the Cliff Notes version of what that.
What's the square footage of the building?
Oh,
Onward,
it's I'm on 25,000. Wow, roughly. Don't hold me to that exact number, but that's roughly what it is. And I think originally it was before the restaurant.
Isn't it amazing that this whole facility is located in Clinton, Tennessee? It's pretty amazing.
It's nice, and again, our
strategically located too. You get right off the interstate, and you're there. Man.
Absolutely. There's probably 25 to 30,000 cars that come down Highway 25 each day. That leads down to the interstate, which is 80,000 at the intersection. Right. But we feel that Aspire, we want to work all these inner dreams out in hopes of these people that visit and understand that why can't you do something great? Why not you, right? And what's the hardest thing to do? It's the first step.
Yeah, it is. And
so
what you're interested in.
We hope that Aspire will motivate and get people, inspire them to aspire to build some other businesses there in South Clinton, whether it's hotels or whatever.
When the kid goes back to Cookeville or Crossville or Gatlinburg, wherever the kid goes back, is there any way to keep them connected to Aspire? I mean, is there any? How does that work?
Yeah, well, when they do the adventure through Aspiration Mountain or through their school system, there's progressionary steps there that we take to keep that education going. We push that through, like I said, through the school system.
I mean, if Johnny wants to be an astronaut and he talks about space and stuff like that, I mean, it seems like there should be some way of social media or something of continuing to communicate with Johnny about those. Have you done your aspirations? How are you doing?
Yeah, we're developing programs right now to extend that, and we're also working with the Anderson County School System, Dr. Parrott and his group, of how to promote. This is really separate from Aspire. This is more of our entrepreneurial foundational arm, which is totally separate from Aspire. But we're also working on how to promote local businesses for if you're an aspiring entrepreneur. This could be you're out of high school, it could be graduated college, or you could have owned your own business for 30 years. Yeah. Right? And so we have a Co-Starters initiative set up in Anderson County where people can go take the class, learn about being an entrepreneur, and then given opportunities for funding outside. Now that's totally separate from Aspire, but we're working on those.
The foundation's about it.
That's correct.
I understand.
So we have the Aspire Foundation there, which runs Aspire. Then we have the Hollingsworth Entrepreneurial Foundation, which is doing philanthropic and other entrepreneurial type-based programs for the community as well.
All right, let's take a break, Brad, now. I'm trying to do my time in my head. Let's go ahead and take our 3-minute break now and for our sponsors, and then we will want to thank IB3, our good friends who are sponsor our show, who are so active in keeping the mission strong and their work across the world, and located right here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So let's take a break and we'll come back.
Get ready for the ultimate celebration at the Free Medical Clinic of Oak Ridge. New Year's Eve 2025 countdown. First ever ice skating rink. Live bands rocking the stage. On December 31st at 8K Bissell Park, Oak Ridge. Food trucks. This is free to the public because of our amazing event sponsors. Bring your lawn chairs. Ring in the new year with your family and friends. Enjoy spectacular fireworks show that will light up the sky. Don't miss the grand finale, the epic T-Cat Harriman, one-of-a-kind atomic ball drop at midnight. For more information, go to fmcor.org.
Looking for a college with online programs that work for you? Roane State offers flexible courses so you can go to class when it's convenient. Roane State will be there every step of the way to ensure you succeed with resources like tutoring, advising, and counseling. Find out if you can complete your degree 100% online and on your time. Get started today. Visit roanstate.edu/online to explore your options.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
1 in 7 people will need a blood transfusion during their life. That's 1 person every 2 seconds receiving a life-saving product. At Medic Regional Blood Center, we are the primary blood provider for 25 hospitals in 23 East Tennessee and southeastern Kentucky counties. Started in 1958, Medic has been serving Knoxville and the surrounding areas for 66 years. For 1 hour of your time, you can save a life. Visit medicblood.org for more information on blood donation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Welcome back. We're entering our final segment as we talk more about Aspire Park. Incredible. You got to go there and understand how great it is. This should be in, you think about this in Gatlinburg or Nashville or Hollywood or Yellowstone Park, but to have it in Clinton is just unbelievable. So you have to have a staff to run all of this. Let's talk a little bit. I don't want to go back and revisit culture training so everybody understands what that means. But there's a lot of people out here. If you've got a granddaughter, son, somebody 19, 20, going to school, whatever, this is an opportunity. And we'll talk a little bit more about that because they're probably employing 100 people at any given time, and that's a lot of people. And those people got to come from our area. They can't drive 100 miles to be here. I hired a lot of people. I probably had over 3,000 employees in my life. And I can tell you, when I was in Pittsburgh for 12 years, if I hired them from the other side of town, they lasted 6 months. If I hired them from this side of town, they lasted 6 years.
Right.
People, the further they got to travel, the less likely the longevity, and that's understandable, I think.
Yeah, and it's tough. You get into that thing. Not a great word, but where people, you don't want them leaving over 50 cents on the hour. Right, taking another job just because somebody else pays 50 cents an hour. You want to get some commitment, get some buy-in from your teammates. And I think when we first launched opened the park on October 6th, we had around 60 or 70 employees, and that was maybe 50% staffing of what we need and what we're going to require. And obviously the restaurant, the Pearl, encapsulates, it's going to take at least half of that. And so we've had a couple separate additional training classes that we've had come through in the last couple weeks. And you get about 25 or 30 people in the training class, and like I said, they learn about the history of Clinton, that good old Southern hospitality we want to embody. Want people to be educated about the facilities at Aspire, and so whichever one of our teammates that you happen to run into could be landscaping personnel, or it could be facility personnel, or everybody has a concept of be able to educate you about what Aspire really is about. So through these training classes, they go through 1 week of that, and then they graduate, and then they're able to then go into their job training. And so you get one opportunity to build your culture. right? And you know that you've employed a lot of people, and so our goal there is to get them started off on the right foot and be able to bless you, and be able to we want to retain our employees, and we want to give them an opportunity to better themselves and create opportunities for advancement. So if you'd like to come visit with us and learn more about Aspire and potential employment opportunities, you can always go to our www.alwaysaspire.com website and look at the opportunities there.
I had 2 former part-time employees who actually got jobs, and I told them both, I said, just remember, it's more than a job. This is not McDonald's.
Right.
And this is what you do in culture. But I said, you're doing something great for the community. You're doing great for people to come in there. You're part of something that's really, really important. Mm-hmm. And that's unusual in a job when you're 19 or 20 or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. We don't want to just give people a job. We want them to, understand the fundamentals of how they can better themselves and better all the people around them.
When people come to me and they apply for a job or they talk about a job, where they've worked and what they've done tells me a little bit more about them. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll happen naturally, but if you worked at Aspire for 2 years or more, that's the given number in hiring. If they don't work 2 years, you get uncertain about them. But younger people, not as much. But the bottom line is, if you can spend 2 or 3 years at Aspire, I think that's going to benefit you down the road. Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
Tell me about the culture training. People understand. See, I'll set it up. I'll say that. I've seen a few programs. Culture training means you're not just working here, but you've got to understand where you're working and what we're trying to do.
Right.
How long is that culture training, and what does it involve?
Yeah, it's a week long, and it's 8 to 5. Yeah, 40 hours.
40 hours.
Yeah, and
wow.
They're paid for that. Obviously, you don't ask them to do that for free, but it's one tangent of that is, what is Aspire, right? What are we trying to accomplish, and how do we deliver that message across through our teammates? Because that's the people; those are your frontline ambassadors, for everybody that comes in to Aspire. Whether it's you want to know, where's the restaurant, or what's significant about service and sacrifice, which we haven't spoken about that, but. We want everybody to be equally educated and share that same message.
I don't know anybody that spends 40 hours on culture training. I'm sure Disney does, and Starbucks type people for managers and stuff, but that's outstanding.
Yeah, it's a great program that our foundation board wanted to initially, because again, it's not just a job. Right, this is a way of life. This is a way for you to not only help yourself, but have the opportunity to help others. And so we want this to grow that culture, and we want it to be a privilege is not the right word, but we want people to be excited about working at Aspire. Right? So and when you wear that,
I can do that in 3 hours. Tell me what takes 40.
What takes 40? Well, again, it's learning about the history of Aspire, learn about the town, the city of Clinton, all the cool things that's happened there, and just learning about how the process of how we would like to see things done in the right way.
Great. So who teaches it?
So Stone Ledge is
contracted out.
Yeah, we subcontract them out, and they do a great job. Like I said, Michelle Baker, she's had 30 years of experience as being the lead culture training at Disney, and so she became an entrepreneur after those 30 years, and she's worked great with our team, and we vetted this culture training for probably over 6 months. We sat down, we went through it ourselves, all our leadership went through it ourselves, and then we poked holes in it and built it out, and so it's become and that's one of the things we get from people once they complete the culture training. They're always like, well, I didn't really understand of how cool of a history of that Clinton has, right, and Anderson County, and they feel like they're a part of something greater, right? Everybody's got to do their individual job within the team concept, but it's been one of our strongest assets so far.
Oh, I could imagine. I mean, I'm thinking the foundation's investing $500 or $600 per person into this culture training to make sure they get the right people. Mm-hmm. Good success rate? Good
success rate. I would say we're probably 80% on retention after they go through culture training. And sometimes
that's the 20 you don't need.
But it's just like anything in life. If this is not the place for you, then you've learned something.
That's right.
You take that with you to somewhere else, and that's okay.
That's right.
But we'll keep they say kicking the can down the road on that aspect, and we've enjoyed tremendous success in our staffing model there. We have a landscape team. We have a landscape director that directs that team. We have food and beverage, which includes a restaurant. Amanda Miller's done an exceptional job there with that. We have a marketing team and director with Meg Cannon. Then we have facilities director with Andrew Goodman, and they're in the line of fire every day, right? Whether it's putting up the Christmas lights right now, or getting the word out, or making sure the food's prepared on time. And so we're going through some bumps as to be expected, but we're going to work out all those opportunities, and we just want to be a first-class facility, there. Where everybody can come in, and anyone in your family has something to do.
Diversity. There's a lot of stuff to do there. Tell me about your chefs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're great. And so we early on we went through a couple iterations of the menu before we even opened, and a full benefit. You got to taste a lot of good food early on, and test market those things, and that was great. But we hired an executive chef early on that developed the menu. There, he's been great, and our team
from out of the area brought him in.
Yes, sir, out of the area.
A lot of experience,
and
good.
A lot of experience, and he was able to set the no pun intended, set the plate to move forward, and our team's really taking it to heart, the execution of the food when it comes to the expo. If it's not up to snuff, so to speak, then it doesn't go out. Right, and so we have pretty high standards there on food delivery, but the pearl is it's how do you balance, it's not just the park and the park side itself. It's not just really about the restaurant, and it's not just about trails. It's an amalgamation of all these different opportunities for people to have something to do when they come into Aspire.
It's amazing. I get nothing but positive feedback. Here again, we get another view of the upward building and the stuff behind it, and the panorama, just incredible.
One thing that we didn't cover was our service and sacrifice memorial.
Yes, please.
And so, so when people drive by and they see this, we call it a laser cannon.
Yeah,
right?
So we got to talk about the laser.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he can find the video on that, but that I sent earlier. But essentially, our service and sacrifice memorial there, as you walk into it, you've got these cool 13 spires. It looks like a sculpture.
Yeah.
And then inside
there
of this is it right here. So inside of that little canister, if you can see that, it's got a laser cannon.
I believe Joe told me that goes all the way up to outer space.
Yes, supposedly it does go all the way to outer space. And so when you drive by the down Highway 25, you'll see, like, what is this thing glowing over there? Well, that's our service and sacrifice memorial. And it's, as you can...
When do you shoot the lights? When do you do the laser?
Well, we light it up. We light up the base of it every evening in different colors, if the balls
I've seen that, yes.
orange,
I've seen that, yeah. I might want to do that, yeah.
I was hoping it'd be red, white, and blue on Wednesday morning or Wednesday night. But as you can see from this picture here, we've got all 6 service branches represented there. We also have a full-scale Liberty Bell replica, which is off-screen. You can't see that, and it has metal from the 9/11 attacks from the North Tower in the assembly
built
there.
into it. Yeah.
And so this is, it does have a heavy military component there, but really it represents the service and sacrifice of what everyday people go through in their lives,
yes.
Right? And getting back to honoring veterans.
When you go around this, do you walk around it?
Yes, sir. It's a concentric circle there.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
6-pointed stars. Got an aspirational story about each service branch represented there.
Good.
And then we have
that's outstanding.
Yeah, and again, the laser cannon, everybody sees that, and it lights up, and it's cool. But we wanted to do something to honor veterans.
We don't have much time. Once again, the park's open from when to when?
It's open every day. It's open from dawn till dusk, and we'll have we're working on Aspirations in Light, which is basically, if anybody's done the Shadrach drive-through Christmas show, this is a version of that that's a walkthrough. Right, so that'll be coming up pretty soon. I think we're going to launch that within the next week
for Christmas.
For Christmas, right? And that'll run through.
Christmas, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
let me talk real quick about the foundation and not just the park. The foundation do other things?
The Aspire Foundation is just solely focused on Aspire itself. Okay. Our Hollingsworth Entrepreneurial Foundation, again, that's some philanthropic efforts about developing entrepreneurs.
We have 1 minute. If we don't talk a little bit about Joe Hollingsworth, we're neglecting stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I have been in many communities. I've lived probably 7 different cities over when I was younger, from 20 to 40, and then came home. I've never seen anybody more dedicated to their community and investment.
He loves his community.
I've never seen anything like it in any place, and without any. I mean, I always said that departments saved Clinton, the Carriage Trace departments 30 years ago. And I would go on to say that, you know, you look at everything he's done, he does it quietly without any recognition, and he does everything he has. He's probably the most important person in Anderson County to me in the success and the story, and what a great legacy.
Yes, sir. He's been a great mentor to me as well as our team there, and I can't speak any more highly of Joe and what he's done for our local community here.
We're getting ready to go. We appreciate you coming on, and get to Aspire. You won't regret it. Get out South Clinton. Boom and go.